Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. As you can see, it's going to be Wizards and Warriors for the 8-bit Nintendo, or Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES. This is a classic rare game. It was published by Acclaim in North America. This is one I actually played quite a bit as a kid. However, despite that, it's not one I revisited frequently as an adult, so I fired it up on Twitch this past weekend, and I was like, you know, I'm going to dedicate some time to this game because I know I can finish it. And with a lot of trial and error, I got back to the point where I could finish the game, and I had so much fun doing it, I ended up going back and beating it like 4 or 5 more times on that very same stream. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this game, and hopefully we don't have too much trouble. Just a heads up, we are going to have to continue a couple of times, most likely. That's just the nature of this game. It's an insanely difficult game to, say, 1 life clear or even 1 credit clear. But trust me, continuing once or twice is a lot better than continuing like the 7 or 8 times I had to do the first time I played it. There are some things you can figure out that'll really help you on your journey. So let me try to explain things here a little bit. So every level typically has these constantly respawning enemies. They pretty much just always come at you, except for very specific rooms throughout the course of the game. You can attack by just pressing the B button like this, and you can duck and attack as well. Honestly, you're not going to worry too much about your main attack in this game. You mainly had to worry about it more in the sequel, Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2. Which is a game I'm not sure if I'm ever going to Let's Play, but we'll see. On this very first level here, you actually get a projectile attack, which is actually not in the sequel to the game, which is why there's so much more of a focus on the actual hand-to-hand sword combat in that game. So talking about this is probably redundant, actually, because we're going to get the projectile, and that's really going to be your main method of attack. Now, just a heads up, you'll notice that some of these enemies are actually dropping these diamonds or gems. Now, almost every level in the game, or I should say probably every level in the game, requires you to grab a certain amount of gems in order to progress. And I believe on this level, I think you need to get 100 of them. And so what you're gonna do is, like, this pink chest here, I believe, is actually more gems. So we're gonna find a pink key to open that. You can see I've actually grabbed a blue key. Now, blue keys allow you to go through the same colored doors as well as open the same colored chests. And so since I got the blue key, we were actually able to go through this blue door. So this game basically starts you off and teaches you these basic concepts almost immediately. You know, it gives you the blue key right away, and then it says, go into this blue door. And because I spent so much time screwing around and explaining things, we're almost dead for the first time. Let's see if I can get some meats. Meat will actually give you health back. And I'm not sure if there's actually any meat here. I guess we'll find out. So yeah, basically the gist of the game is, from stage to stage, you need to get the certain amount of gems that are required in order to progress. And then you want to try to find items along the way as well. There's a lot of really useful items that you'll come across as you play the game. On the second level, we're going to find these boots of levitation. On this first level, we're going to find the dagger of throwing, or something like that. So we just got our pink key, and as you can see, the pink chest over here is open, and the dagger of throwing is now ours. So the dagger of throwing allows you to shoot enemies, but it'll also sometimes pick up power-ups. The power-ups it will pick up are actually the power-ups that are predetermined on the level. So the dagger of throwing will pick up predetermined power-ups. You know, power-ups basically laid across the map by the level designers. And but enemy drops, like that coin over there, my dagger cannot pick that up. So just something to keep in mind. Well, that was weird. Didn't grab that treasure chest. Alright, let's try this again. So Wizards and Warriors has a very unique feeling gameplay compared to a lot of other NES games. For one, your jumping is very floaty. There's also a little bit of momentum build up as you run. So you start slow, then you build fast, and you build fast pretty quickly, but it definitely takes a little bit of time to get used to that. Also, when you jump, your jump has a bit of delay to it. Like, your guy has to basically bend down and then jump. So your jumps aren't really immediate. And so it takes a little while to get used to that. And then the point where you actually come off the floor is, it takes a little while to get used to as well. And you don't really notice it so much on this first level here, but you do notice it a lot throughout the rest of the game as the platforming gets tighter. So this was a gray door right here, and the gray doors are actually timed. They're closed and then they open, and they're closed and then they're open. They just kind of do it on their own. So for the gray doors, you just have to wait around for them to open up and do their thing. So basically what I'm going to do is, I almost have enough gems to exit the stage, but there's actually 2 items I want to get. One of them I'm probably going to end up losing almost immediately, just because it always seems to happen whenever I play this game. The other will be an item I can keep for the rest of the game. So one is the Boots of Force. I think it's Boots of Force. Those will allow me to kick open any chest I want, even without having the keys required to do so. And one of the first keys, or not one of the first keys, but one of the keys I need to get the second one, which is the armor, or I should say the shield. That's going to be up top, so we need to come back up top again, and I'm taking lots and lots of damage. Wizards and Warriors is the kind of game you have to play very, very slow and methodical if you don't want to take any damage, and even then, you're still at the mercy of the respawning enemies. The enemies just respawn from every point. As you can see, these guys are coming from the top, so even as you just go up the screen, alright, we're going to have to basically kill ourselves here. What I want to do, you can actually hop off of enemies if you jump on top of them, but they have to be, they have to be on the opposite side of you. So if you're facing left, the enemy has to be coming up from the right for it to work. Otherwise, you won't do the hop. So I hopped off the enemy, even though I died. The game, fortunately, at least just respawns you where you died, which is nice. But the reason I wanted to do that is to come up here and get this red chest. That's what the red key is for. And so we just got the shield, and the shield will actually block some projectiles. Now, it's not terribly useful right now, but it is something that's going to come into play on the last stage in the game, where there's going to be just tons and tons of projectiles. Alright, so now you see there's still a lot of gems throughout the playfield. You don't really need to do anything with those. We've got the maximum amount of gems, or sorry, the minimum amount of gems required to progress. And so what I'm going to do is pretty much just try to go down to the bottom as quickly as I can. And I'm not worried about pickups and stuff like that. As long as I can get to the boss with at least a couple blocks of health, I think I'm pretty much good. And as you see, it's really hard to avoid taking hits. These guys just come from all sides. And I have the Boots of Force, which can actually do a lot of damage to this guy really quickly. But what I'm going to do is play it safe. Because if the boss touches you, he has a tendency of taking away, I think, about 3 blocks of health. Now, most enemies in the game only take away 1 hit point off your life bar. Certain enemies will take away 2. Bosses in particular will take away 3. Maybe 4. I'm not sure if it goes up to 4, but definitely 3. And so if you're like me and you only have like 4 or 5 blocks of health, you could be dead in 2 hits. So there are ways to use, say, your Dagger of Throwing as well as your Boots of Force at the same time. You can activate your Boots of Force by pressing select. You can see my guy's kicking now. So even though this is meant just for opening chests, you can also use it as an attack. And you can use it in conjunction with your attacks to do just the ultimate damage. So this level has a lot of these guys. They have these like faces in the walls. And I'm gonna go ahead and just kick open this chest, get these gems. Although I'm still gonna come up here because the blue key is gonna be up here. And what I like to do is to try to take out these guys that are in the walls. Just because as I'm coming back and forth throughout the stage, you can see that they shoot these projectiles, and it's just about playing it safe, taking it easy. Because I'm going to be coming back through these sections quite frequently, actually, most likely. This is where the levels start to get a little confusing in the game. In some cases, a lot of things just start to look very samey. Stage 4 in particular, we go to another cave, and it's easy to get lost there because it's so large. So this is actually a bit of a tight jump here, and before I do that, I did want to explain about these potions. So there's 3 different types of potions in the game. There's pink, blue, and red. Red actually makes you invulnerable to your basic enemies. So like these guys coming up in the ground, if I touch them, they won't do any damage to me. So the red is my favorite of all the potion power-ups, because with all the randomization in the enemies and so forth, like we'll touch this guy, see, no damage done. With all the randomization in the enemies, it's just so easy to die and just really have it feel like an unfair experience. So that said, pink potions allow you to jump higher, and then blue potions make you run a hell of a lot faster than you normally do. Alright, so for this part right here, I typically like to sort of like slide, like sort of jump along the edge, kind of like that. It's a very tight jump, but that's how I do it personally. I think there's another way you can do it, but that's how I do it. So this is one of the really important items in the game. It's called the Feather of Fall. And if you hold up as you fall, you'll notice you just sort of float down. Nice and easy. Very important item later on in the game. And I believe these are just gems right here. Yes. Okay, so what I want to try to do is keep the Boots of Force right now, because there's going to be quite a few items in the game. Like one of the items, I believe, up here, up top, is a cloak. And the cloak really isn't all that useful unless you're trying to, like, tank on bosses or something like that. This right here is going to be a very important item as well. It's called the Potion of Levitation, like I talked about. Look, my shield actually just blocked those projectiles. So if you hold up, you can actually get a little bit of air and then jump. So this basically allows you to get to higher areas easier, and then in conjunction with the Feather of Fall, you have a lot of flexibility to get to actually required areas. I was going to say secret areas, but then there's also, towards the end of the game, on the final stage, it's actually, there's lots of required areas as well. Alright, so I'm not going to touch that chest right there. I think that's actually a wand, and I actually don't want that. And we've got quite a few gems, actually. And actually, I need to come back. I need to go back upstairs, actually. There's, I believe there's a key up there. I think the pink key is up top. So let's try to go back up. And there's a red potion, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and just try to get that. Oh, I can't. Okay. There we go. Got it. Is that one the item? I'm scared to actually touch any of them, to be honest, because I really don't want, I don't want to lose my Boots of Force, because it just makes it so much, easier to get through some of these other stages in the game, where you have to get keys to open up chests, to get your gems, which will then let you, you know, progress farther into the game. So how many gems do we need, actually? I think the exit's over here. Let's take these guys out while we're at it. We need 100. Okay, that's not too bad. Later on, there's going to be a level where we need, like, 200. So some of the later levels in the game can really drag out in terms of the gem collecting. And I think this is probably bad. Yep, crap. Alright, we just lost our Boots of Force. So we got Boots of Lava Walk, which helps us a little bit, admittedly, on the next stage. But what I'm going to do is come back up here and try to get... I believe the wand is up here somewhere. So let's... First, let's see what this is, too. Okay, those are just gems. So it definitely helps if you really play the game a lot. You kind of memorize the chest locations and what they are. Oh, these are gems, too. Okay. Well, I might as well just go ahead and get the cloak, just so you guys can see what that's like. It's kind of interesting. And the Cloak of Darkness. So what the Cloak of Darkness does, if you press select, you basically turn black. Which is a bit of a problem on some of these levels. But what it does is it basically reduces the amount of hits or damage that you take to 1 damage, basically at a maximum. So every enemy will now do 1 point of damage. However, a couple people were helping me out with this on stream the other night, and they say that every enemy in the game only dishes out 1 point of damage anyway. So it's almost kind of like a really redundant item, to be honest with you. There's really no point in using it. However, if you want to try to, you know, tank on bosses and just let them hit you, you might want to use the cloak in that situation. So we're going to go ahead and just hit select so you guys can see me again. So here's some hidden gems. There's some certain spots in the game where you can just jump up and your head sort of like bops these invisible gem locations. And that actually comes into play on the final stage leading up to the final boss, where it's pretty much required to find it. Alright, so we've got the amount of gems that we need. Let's go ahead and just progress through. Alright, so we're going to have to take it really safe on this boss, because I only have 1 hit point, unfortunately. So there's this long stretch of bats. And these guys, I feel like it's good to just come up, jump, hit them a few times with your dagger. And as long as I can get to the boss itself, I might be able to defeat it with just 1 hit point. Otherwise, if I die, I'm just going to run straight through and just tank. The nice thing about this game is you do at least have a pretty large health bar. Iron Sword, the sequel, is not nearly as generous in that regard. It's got a full health bar, and it looks like it's large, but there's so many enemies in that game that can just kill you instantly. And it's insanely frustrating. And that was frustrating too, not being able to jump over him. So that's our first continue. So let's go ahead and just tank. And what I'm going to do is actually use this as well. That way the guys don't do as much damage to me. Wow, they still did all... Wow, okay. So it is pretty much useless in this game. Wow. Alright, so the cloak is really useless. These guys are still doing 3 damage. So it doesn't even work on bosses. Wow, that's horrible. Okay, so the cloak is officially the worst item in the game. Because every enemy apparently does 1 hit point of damage anyway. But the cloak doesn't even work on bosses. Well, I'm glad we actually figured that out, because otherwise I would have been under the assumption that it would minimize boss damage down to 1 hit point. And then in that case, it would actually be useful. Especially for people that suck. People that take lots of hits, you know, and they would find great use in that item. But, wow, that's really disappointing. Well, at least we learned something in this Let's Play. I love it when I actually learn new things when I do these playthroughs. Now, there's a lot of these games, these old games I'm going to be Let's Playing in the future that, you know, I've kind of Let's Played all the games I'm super familiar with by this point on my YouTube channel. So a lot of these games we're going to be Let's Playing in the future, I'm not as familiar with. Like, I played this game a lot back in the day, but I didn't know it like the back of my hand, like I do, say, Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania or Super Mario Brothers or something like that, you know? So there's still a bunch of little things about this game that I definitely don't know, which is cool. It's cool to play these games and actually learn some things as you play them, which is neat. Alright, so this is the fire area. What we want to do is actually... this is going to be rough, actually, without the Boots of Lava walk. So we want to come over here, get this pink key, and then we might be able to come up here. Okay, cool. We don't actually need to go back down. Great. Alright, so what we're going to do is... pretty much just, you know, rinse and repeat of what we've done before. Now, if I had the Boots of Force, I could just kick this chest open by pressing select. Unfortunately, I cannot do that. Actually, I don't think I'd want to do it on that chest anyway if I had Boots of Force, because I believe it's actually one of the wands in the game. There's actually 2 different wands you can get. One's more powerful than the other, but one will actually freeze enemies in place, which is pretty useful. And I think the one down here is the one that freezes enemies in place. I guess we'll find out. Alright, so the red key is actually going to be over here to the left. conveniently placed by a red chest with gems. So I think the gem requirement on this one is something a little bit smaller, like 75 or something like that. Let's grab that meat. So not too many gems on this one, but it's also not a very long stage. It's actually one of the shortest stages in the game. Okay, so we just picked up like a flashing egg. The flashing egg actually destroys everything on screen. So it's actually a pretty good item to pick up when you see it. And let's grab that. Yep, Staff of Power. Okay, so this is actually the powerful wand. This is a good offensive wand. The other wand you can actually get on the very first level is not as good, but it still does offensive damage, so it's still worth getting if you want to play with lots of offense. And it looks like it's open. Was it only 50 gems? I don't remember. I played this last night and there was a dude standing there. I could have sworn he said 75 gems. But, so we're just going to go ahead and go through and fight this boss. And kind of like if I was going to use the Boots of Force, I could use my projectiles, like my axes. Well, now they're axes, but they were daggers. And I can use the wand at the exact same time. So you just have to make sure you're attacking and pressing select at the same time. And what's cool about this game is it has a tendency of registering both hits at the same time. So if my axe hits and then the wand hits, it will actually register both those hits. So you can actually take these bosses out really quickly. Alright, so I think there's going to actually be a secret up here somewhere. I think it's a little bit higher up. So this is the cave I was talking about where you have to get about 200 gems. There we go. So there are actually secret doors in this game. Now you have to be careful not to go back through the secret door by accident because you cannot come back. It's not like Iron Sword. In Iron Sword you have secret areas like this. This is actually a good place to breathe. You have secret areas like this, but you can constantly go back and forth between them if you want to. Not a whole lot of point, but you can. In Wizards and Warriors, you cannot. So I exited, and if I try to jump back in, it's gone. So, especially on a stage like this, where you need to collect 200 gems, which is a lot of gems, it's very good to actually take advantage of those secret doorways. So, this is one where we have to explore quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of places to go to. And so what I need to do is actually go towards the top. I think the red key is towards the top. And then there's going to be a blue key, I think, more towards the left-hand side. I think there's a red door up on this left-hand side of the playfield. Oh, look, another secret. That's good. Now, I don't have all the secrets memorized. I totally forgot about that one, but I did remember about the first one on this level. So there's going to be a lot of secret doors we're going to run into that I just simply don't know about. Alright, so that's our red door. We're going to have to go back there. I believe that's where... If that's not where the blue key is, then it's where the pink key is, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to assume there's no secret door over there. I'm going to assume there's not one here either. Or here. Now I'm tempted to just explore everywhere. I'm just like, I want to find out where all the secret doors are. Alright, so there's our red key. Let's go ahead and grab this red chest. Some gems. Alright, so we're almost halfway to our gem allotment. Our gem requirement. So, Wizards and Warriors actually can progress pretty quickly if you know exactly where to go. Yeah, it's the blue key, just as I thought. I assume there's no secret door here at all. So these skulls are a massive pain, and this is why the Boots of Force are really important. The Boots of Force are the only items, or is the only item in the game, that can actually take out those skulls. And on the final stage in the game, Rare just really wanted to troll you because they put those skulls everywhere. And those skulls, they fire a lot of projectiles rapidly. They're very difficult to deal with without taking damage. But the Boots of Force kind of like helps mitigate that. Okay, so now we actually picked up an axe on the playfield. It was not our first axe. You have to get a couple of them. But once you get a couple of them, you can actually shoot multiple axes at once. So I can shoot 2 now. I don't know if I can go any higher than that. But you can definitely shoot 2 which is nice. Trust me, it helps a lot, especially on boss fights. Alright, let's get that meat. So we need, yeah, 200, just as I thought. Alright, so let's come down here. There's going to be a couple of gems down here, nothing too crazy. A box of gems is always good. And we're going to work our way back up. So you know what's actually interesting? You might not notice this as you're playing the game, but there's actually two different types of gems. You've got these gems right here, which have like this reddish tint to them as they cycle through their colors, as they blink. Those are actually worth 2. And then you have these other ones that have more of like a pinkish hue to them. Those are worth 1. So if you see the red ones especially, definitely pick those up because it's 2 gems. And we're dead again. Like I said, we're going to be dying a lot throughout the course of this game. You know, oh no, I got the Cloak of Darkness again. Ugh. What an awful pickup. Oh, that's right, there's another wand down here. The Wand of Wonder. This is actually the first wand you can get. It actually is also available on the first stage in the game. So more gems. We're actually getting close to our requirement, and then we can just exit. Although, I think the exit door might be pink, so I think we still need to get the pink key. I'm gonna guess the pink key is probably over here somewhere. More gems. Okay, we met our requirement, which is good. Actually, this might not be the pink key over here. Yeah, this is just a dead end. Yeah, if you ever see the red potion, you probably just want to grab that because, you know, invincibility and all, that's pretty good. Now, it is important to be aware, like, if you get a potion at, is it a boss fight? I don't remember. There are a couple of enemies in the course of the game that will hurt you when you have the red potion, and I forgot when that is. There's at least a section or two where you can take damage with having the red potion. Oh, I think what it is, I think it's things like fire still hurts you. So if you have the red potion and you try walking on the you know, the lava, that'll actually still harm you. Sorry, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking bosses, because you can't get potions at bosses, unfortunately. That'd be really cool if you could. Wow, man, they're very generous with those right now. Enemies can drop potions and so forth as well, which is very nice. Look, there's another one. Okay, so what I want to do is try to get this meat. Got it. I could have actually just... I should have just attacked it, because then that would have just given it to me. So that clock actually stops time for a few seconds. It's not very long, unfortunately, but it, you know, in this game, every little bit helps. Alright, so we need to work our way back over to the right so we can exit, and then what's going to happen is, obviously, as usual, we're going to fight a boss, and then we're going to work our way back up to the top, above ground. And also, pretty much every boss in this game from this point on basically leaves behind these little ghosts, and these ghosts can do damage pretty quickly. But if I have a lot of health, I just sit there and attack, and I tank. I just take the damage, and it works out really well against those little ghosts. So we're not making horrible progress. I'd say there's probably another 15 or 20 minutes left of the game, depending on how well we do. Which actually feels a little bit longer than I remember through playing it on Twitch this past weekend. But, you know, if you can really bolt through this game and beat it fairly quickly if you know where everything is and can really just play on point. Or you can just wander around for ages and it feels like it takes forever to finish the game. Iron Sword especially is kind of the same way, because there's required items in that game that are a little more cryptic. It's a little bit harder to figure out Iron Sword, and it doesn't really help that Iron Sword is a much, much more difficult game to begin with. But one thing that's kind of interesting about this stage in particular is the gem requirement, I believe, is 100. And you can actually collect most of your gems just on this vertical stretch here. These spiders have a tendency of dropping a lot of gems, and whenever they drop gems, it's usually the 2 quantity kind. So they'll drop 2 gems. And so what I do sometimes is I just get to the top of this area, and I just try to take these guys out and just collect their gems. So there's another 2 right there. And you can just take your time. One thing that is good about Wizards and Warriors is that there's no time limit. So you can really just spend as much time as you want. The only issue is that respawning enemies. And it's a lot of times very difficult to deal with said respawning enemies. So we're not even all the way up yet, and we've still got 60 gems, 62, 64, and here's some secret gems, 70, 74, 78, 80. And there's still a whole forest area above, just like on the first level of the game. So there's still a bunch of keys to get, things like that. What's actually kind of funny is there's another Boots of Force on this stage. So the Boots of Force are located on both forest levels. Now I don't really need to stick around, so I'm not going to. Because there's going to be a bunch of other gems throughout this forested area as well. Alright, so question is, where's my first key? I totally forgot. There's my key. So we got the pink key. And I believe I actually need to come above here, back into the trees. And I think there's another key up top, actually, so we're going to try to come over here to the right. Yep, blue key. Let's try to fall back down here. And we've got a pink door. We don't really need these gems now, so I'm just not going to even bother. But I do want some health. So every time you get low on health, technically 3 hit points left, this you're gonna die music starts to kick in. And so for a lot of people that can actually get kind of annoying in this game. When I played this on stream, people were like, oh god, not that music. It's actually not bad music, it's just you're gonna hear it a lot, that's the thing. And trust me, you're gonna hear it a lot in this game. Which is a bit unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. Alright, so I've got the gem requirement, I've got all my keys, but before I exit, I need to get the Boots of Force again. Otherwise, the final level is going to be a major, major pain. Oops. Alright, so we're going to come back over here. There's going to be a red chest up top, which I believe houses our Boots of Force. Right there. There we go. And then we're just going to fall back down and exit. Fight this spider dude. Unfortunately, the Boots of Force I found doesn't really do anything against the spider, so you're better off just, you know, attacking from a distance. Fortunately, we've got our double axe throwing ability. The double throw ability actually sticks with you until you get a game over. So when I get a game over, that's where things are going to get a little bit tricky. Especially when we get to the final boss. And I'm most likely going to get a game over by the final boss, unfortunately. Alright, so we're on the final stretch of the game. The rest of the game is all castle. And so we need 50 gems on this part. They're pretty generous with the gems here as well. They're spread out a little bit though, so it's a little bit harder to get them. However, if you just skip collecting the gems down here, you can actually get a bunch of gems nice and easily. Up towards the top of the castle. We have to grab a pink key. And so what I'm going to do is just try to come up, you know, to the top of the castle as fast as possible. And at this point of the game, this is where you really need to use your Feather of Fall. All the time. Pretty much all the time. And you gotta watch out for these indentations in the walls, too. They spit out arrows, and it's just very easy to take damage. I just have a tendency of just taking tons of hits on the way up the castle because of these things. It looks like if you face them, though, sometimes you can attack the arrows as they come out. Perhaps your shield even blocks them. Okay, so let's come back up here. There's gonna be the pink key. The pink key is actually above me, so I need to go up a little bit higher. And it's going to be up top here. And now with that, we can go up to the top right of the castle. And there's going to be a pink door. Now, I say just do this because, unless you're playing for points or something, you can play for score. But if you get a game over, you do lose all your points, which makes playing for score a little difficult in this game. You have to be able to play very, very well. And that's really tough to do in this game with all the randomization that the game offers. But if you come into this pink door, there's plenty of gems. And this is where we're going to use the Boots of Force. We're going to basically just kick the crap out of these guys. And these guys have a tendency of dropping a lot of potions. A lot of times they'll drop red potions as well. Which definitely makes life much, much easier. Unfortunately, pink potions, not so great. Because you can still take damage with pink potions. They do let you jump a little bit higher, which isn't the most useful thing, but you gotta watch out for this water stuff too. It hurts you quite a bit. I noticed that the European developers had a thing of making water hurt you. Or drops of something or another hurt you. And this clearly looks like water. It's blue, so... Alright, let's come through here. I believe we're gonna have another key to grab. Okay, there's some meat right here. Alright, nice. We got it. Somebody dropped some more meat, too, because the music came back on. I should say the normal music. We still need more gems, though. And we're dead. So that's fine. We're just going to keep continuing. We're going to credit feed our way through the game. I don't really care that much. It's a really difficult game, thanks to all the randomization and so forth. So we got our 50th gem, which means we can pretty much just fall back down to the bottom of the castle. I don't think we need the blue key. I don't think there is a blue key, actually, on this this section. And there's a secret here. I did remember that. The giveaway was the 2 blocks. Just kind of like in this unconventional position. Alright, so let's get out of here. And from this point on, you can just, whoops, either go back in and die, most likely, or just jump off the castle like this, all the way down. And actually what I should have done is actually held up right before I touched the ground. Because then it wouldn't have registered as a fall. Alright, so now we're inside the castle. So there's 2 inside stages. On this first part, we need to just come straight up. And you really, really want to know about this the first time you play this. Otherwise, you're going to be like me and try to go up vertically the difficult way. And I'll sort of show you what I mean on the way back around. But this level is actually set up in a manner to where it loops around in sort of like a circular fashion. That's where the items are laid out. That's how they're laid out. There's a bunch of meat here. I don't want to grab this meat because I'm probably going to need it later. Despite credit feeding, I am still trying to play half decently if I can. So we're going to save that meat in case I need it on the way back down. Unfortunately, that one I don't really have a choice about. And since we have the Boots of Force, we can grab these treasure chests before we even get the keys. Which means we won't have to come back once I get the red key. The red key is going to be up top here somewhere. Oh, I missed that gem. It's okay, 2 more appeared. Now, what's actually really frustrating about the next stage we're going to go to is that you don't have a bunch of gems just out in the open like this. You have to actually grind out enemies to find all the gems on the next stage, and it's really, really cumbersome, especially with how many enemies that they have coming at you. It's very much a pain. You guys will see exactly what I mean once we get there. It's easily my least favorite part of the game, unfortunately. And there's our red key. Alright, so what we're going to do is go back down. Maybe we can get lucky and find like an axe power-up and have that for the final boss. That'll make the final boss a good bit easier. I mean, the final boss in this game is a pain, regardless, no matter how you look at it. He's completely random. And there's a good chance we're going to have to try several times to beat the final boss in this game. Because you're completely at the mercy of his spawns. And you guys will see exactly what I mean once we get there. There's a lot of things I like about this game. There's a lot of things I don't like about this game. I don't want to sound just like, you know, jaded or something like that. So I try not to give this game too much of a hard time. It was 1987. And I did play it a lot and enjoy it as a kid. But still, it's a little aggravating. I should say more than a little aggravating in certain parts. It had only got worse with Iron Sword, the sequel to the game. There was also Wizards and Warriors Part 3 on the NES. Unfortunately, despite owning it at one point in time or another, I never played it much. I couldn't get into it. So one of these days I'm going to try to fire it up on Twitch and see if I can learn that game and give it another chance. A lot of people say it's not as hard as Iron Sword. And I think somebody on Twitch said it's not even as hard as the first game. They said it's a little more fair, supposedly. So I guess we'll try it out sometime and see how true that is. Now there's supposed to be... There it is. There's our pink key. And actually what I could do, and let's see if I can do this. Come back through here. Grab some meat. This is why we left the meat behind, because I had a feeling I would probably need it. Oh look, some gems I missed too. So I mean that works out. What we might actually be able to do is... Alright, what color is this door here? That's what I'm curious about. I'm gonna go ahead and just loop around the stage regardless. Yeah, it's a blue key, so we do have to actually have the key. So... Now, the Boots of Force, unfortunately, will not kick doors open for you, so... That's kind of a bummer. That would be a really cool feature if you could just kick the doors open without even finding the keys. It's like, now that's a warrior I can get behind. He just goes around busting people's doors open. Alright, now the secret, we don't really need it, but we'll go ahead and just take it regardless. Alright, so that kind of backfired, actually. We lost all of our health again, and we're gonna die right here, most likely. Not most likely, definitely. This is why these skulls suck. They're so bad. But, again, if you kick, you can at least take some of them out. In some cases, it's better to just avoid them because, you know, like, you'll find the skulls on just, like, a single block, and that's it. Alright, so we don't even need the gems. Gems at this point are just for points. I don't really care about points because I've died so many times. I think it would be fun to play this game for score sometimes, though. You get points for a lot of things in the game. And if you are playing for score, it's really all about getting to the final, like the final levels. And the princesses in the final levels give you crazy amounts of points if you're the kind of person that wants to play this for score. So I'm glad the game does have a scoring system, in case you really wanted to play the game for score. I like it when games have scoring systems, even when they don't really need one. Because it just gives players the opportunity to play the game in a different light, you know? In a different manner. You know, decades down the road. Alright, we don't even need those gems, so let's just go ahead and come back down, grab the key, and get the hell out of here. Alright, so this area right here, this door you see, you can actually come up the back way and try to access the door, but the problem is it requires the blue key. I learned that the hard way the other night when I was playing this. So, what you need to do is when you first get to this level, is quit finding secret areas when you don't need them. But make sure you're taking the right vertical path, like the rightmost vertical path. That'll get you to the red key. And the red door is on that same path as well. And going through the red door will take you to the blue key, which will then spit you out back up here. But what I did, I'll show you what I did the first time I got here. Here, so let's come back up just a little bit. So right here, you can actually get up top if you do the hopping that I taught you guys earlier today. And so you can actually get up here the hard way, and it's actually really tough to do that because you're at the mercy of where these guys spawn from. If they spawn too low, you can't get up there. If they spawn too high, they're just going to hit you. If they spawn in front of you, you're not going to be able to do the hop because you have to turn around, then hop, and it's just you don't have enough time to do that. So it's quite cumbersome, quite tricky. But it is possible to get up there. But don't make the mistake that you're supposed to go up there that way. There's another one right here, actually. Bam, just like that. But you take damage every time you do that hop. That's why you don't really want to do the hop unless you absolutely need to. Because damage does occur, unfortunately. I wish some of these guys would drop so like another axe or two preferably. I think it requires 2, maybe 3, which would give me my my axe doubler, my multiplier on the axe. Basically, I can throw 2 axes out instead of 1. We're gonna play it safe on this guy as well. So he starts off as a bit of a midget, and then he just grows and grows and grows until he's about 3 times the size of you. Or 2 times the size. And then, of course, the little ghosts are going to pop out, so I've got plenty of health, so I just tank. I just sit in place and just keep mashing the B button, and that's it. Okay, so we're at the, okay, so we're, wow, it's probably going to take us about an hour to beat this game. That's crazy. I thought it would be a lot shorter than that. Oh man, just time flies when you're playing this game. Like, it doesn't actually feel like it's been almost an hour. It feels like it's only been like a half an hour. And you can really tear through this game when you're having just like a pretty decent run. All right, so we're gonna try to fall down as quickly as possible. Just get all these gems. And then we're gonna have to start grinding out on these enemies, because there's not enough gems, unfortunately. There are a couple of secret areas. Not really secret areas, per se, but secret gem stashes. A couple of them are on this stretch over here. Now, what's actually kind of interesting, you can actually find where the hidden gems are by your projectiles reflecting. So you can see how my projectile's reflecting right here? It means that there's some hidden gems. And there's a couple of places where there's hidden gems on this area. This level. So there's another one right here. But it's still a pain because there's so many respawning enemies on this part. This is by far where there's the most respawning enemies, unfortunately. But once we actually get all the gems required, it's going to take us directly to the final boss room. And that's where the game ends. After you beat the final boss, which is a major pain. And again, like I said, you guys will see exactly what I mean once we get there. So we got the red key. Unfortunately, I don't think there are any other hidden gem areas up here. I've looked the other day and I didn't find any. Let's see if maybe I missed something. Yeah, so we need 100 gems for this one. So, unless there's, like, other areas that have hidden gems I don't know about, which is definitely a possibility, you have to grind out for the rest, which is exactly what I've been used to doing, unfortunately. And so that's why this part of the game is my least favorite part, because I always have to just sit here, wait for these guys to respawn, take them out, hope they drop some gems. I just killed 3 enemies, 4, 5, 6... no gems. 7, 8, 9. Unfortunately, these little coins, they don't count towards your gem counts, unfortunately. Alright, so we need 18 more. So we need 14 more. Alright, only 8 more. Come on. See, this is what happens, is you get close, and then it feels like the game's like, you know what? We're gonna stop giving you gems. For a while. And so you spend like 10 minutes on the last 6 gems. At least that's what it feels like. So it's definitely a little aggravating. And of course they sometimes drop potions when you don't need potions because you need gems, not potions. At least a red potion would be nice. And what would be even cooler is if you can come over and just kick this dude off. But you can't. So yeah, if you get close to him, if you touch him, you actually get hurt. So it's good to not touch that guy unless you've got the required amount of gems, and then he lets you through. Alright, come on. 2 more. Just 2 more. Technically 1 more, because it seems like they only drop 2 gems instead of just 1 gem. Or they drop the red gems that give you 2 instead of 1. Come on. It feels like these pink guys don't really ever drop anything for the most part. Maybe they just drop the potions. I don't know if I've ever seen them actually drop gems. Alright, come on, people. Oh, we got the gems. Okay, good. Alright, let's get out of here. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna get to the final boss. We're gonna actually end up dying. Because, yeah, I don't think I've ever been able to beat him without a full health bar. And so here's the final boss. I like to sit right here. And he just spawns at any old random position he feels like. There is absolutely 0 rhythm or rhyme to it as far as I've found. And so what I like to do is wait for him to get close. And I jump up and I hit him like a couple times with the axe. Like right there. And sometimes you can get lucky and hit him on over here to the right. There's multiple spawn points here to the right. And like I said, you're totally at the mercy of his spawn positions. But if he spawns close, then you can get in, you can get 2 hits. And I'm pretty sure every hit on him does 2 hits of damage to him. Yeah, so I just hit him once, did 2 hits of damage. See, these are actually some pretty good spawns. I'm getting pretty lucky. There's sometimes you'll sit here and he will never spawn nearby. Because like I said, it's just completely random. There's really no rhythm or rhyme to it at all. Now, if there actually is and I'm just not seeing it, and you know, please post a comment and let me know. I'm actually really curious how this works out. Or if it is truly completely random. I think it's completely random, but there's always the possibility I'm wrong. Alright, 1 more hit. But just like every other boss, these guys appear. So that's actually gotten me before, where I had 1 hit point left. I defeat him, and then those little ghosts appear, and I'm dead. Just like that. Alright guys, so that is Wizards and Warriors for the NES. You know, it's... despite the unfair nature of the game, it is still a fun game once you kind of know what you're doing. Like, when I finished it the other night on Twitch, I was kind of addicted to it by that point, and I went back and I finished it, you know, multiple times on stream. More than I finished any other game on stream recently, especially for the amount of time it takes to get through this game. But, it's definitely worth playing on the NES. It's kind of like one of those NES classics that you probably should play from back in the late 80s. Although it's probably going to frustrate a lot of you out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I don't really have anything else to talk about in regards to this game. I don't think I'm going to do a Let's Play of Iron Sword, the sequel, because Iron Sword is just stupid difficult. If I do, I'm going to have to input the continue code, because if you get to a certain point in that game, you can't continue. Iron Sword is just extremely brutal, whereas Wizards and Warriors just gives you unlimited continues. Iron Sword's like, you know, if you get, you know, 60% through the game, we're not going to let you continue anymore, because you're too good. You should be able to beat the other 40% without continuing, and it's just like, it's almost impossible because enemies can kill you in one hit in Iron Sword. The enemy respawns are actually even more numerous than Wizards and Warriors. And you don't even have your projectile attacks. You have projectiles, but there's ammunition, and those projectiles, the specific ones, are required for the boss fights in the game. So it's extremely frustrating compared to Wizards and Warriors. If you thought Wizards and Warriors was frustrating, you probably don't want to play Iron Sword. But, if I do a Let's Play of Iron Sword, it's going to be with that continue code, and we're going to credit feed our way through it, unfortunately. And then maybe one of these years, I can get around to Wizards and Warriors 3. Maybe I can actually try it and learn it. What put me off about that game is that I remember there being, like, you have to talk to people and stuff like that. And I was like, you don't have to do that in, like, the first two games. I mean, you have to find items in Iron Sword to give to these special animals or whatever, these guardians. And that's it. That's the extent of it. You can also visit a shopkeeper, but you don't actually talk to him. You just go buy, sell, or you can play the gamble mode to get more money. But Wizards and Warriors 3, I believe you're actually like talking to people and doing weird stuff like that. And it just always threw me off. And the graphical style just wasn't as appealing to me as it was in the first two games, especially the second game. I really like how Iron Sword looks in certain areas. But I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe we'll see what the game's all about. There's also a Game Boy game called Fortress of Fear, which is a totally different kind of game. It's more like a traditional platformer, but it seems to be heavily memorization based. I don't know if I'll ever get to that, but we'll see. So that pretty much does it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play. Feel free to post a comment below. Anybody new to this channel, please consider subscribing. I've got a lot of Let's Plays on here, and plenty more to come as well as other video types. For those of you guys already subbed, thanks as usual. Hope you guys continue to enjoy these videos, and I hope you enjoyed this one. So, but I'll see you guys soon. Oh yeah, for anybody that's watching this on the first day or two as of uploading this upcoming Thursday, it was December 1st, I believe. I will be doing a late night stream here on YouTube. I'll be doing, you know, my bi-weekly stream on YouTube. It's going to be a Sega 32X stream. We did Genesis a month ago. We did Sega CD 2 weeks ago. And now this upcoming Thursday, we're going to do Sega 32X. So be sure to come by, hang out. It'll be a late night stream. I'll probably go for, you know, 9 to 10 hours. And it'll be archived when I'm done as well. But feel free to check that out, hang out, say hello, and just chill while I stream. So, but yeah, hopefully I'll see some of you guys Thursday. If not, I'll see you guys in the next video, whenever that is. And until then, take it easy.